And welcome back. So yesterday was our traditional book club, but we were offered a satellite interview with someone very unique, the authors of a new graphic novel. And who better to dive into that interview than our friend Conrad from the Springfield Greene County Library. So Conrad, this one is all yours.
It's true. I'm kind of a graphic novel nerd. So when Joy gave me the opportunity to talk to the creators of one of the most highly anticipated graphic novels of the year, how could I say no? So for this special edition of Book Club, help me welcome filmmaker Duncan Jones and writer Alex Campi. They're here to talk about Madi, Once Upon a Time in the Future. Welcome, guys. Duncan, I'll start with you. Madi takes place in the same universe as your films Moon and Mute. How did you decide that a graphic novel was the best approach for this project?
Well, it's been a long time working out how these stories would all get made, and some things are very challenging to do. And I think Madi could have been a movie and would have been a movie, but it was really huge. It was a big project. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought about there was a graphic novel that I read when I was a kid called The Trigon Empire that Don Lawrence was the artist on, and how that consumed and just absolutely created this world that absolutely kind of filled my imagination. And I thought, you know, Madi is actually the perfect fit for this because it's a road story. It's that travels from London to Shanghai and back across the USA, and you know, maybe a graphic novel would be the way to do this.
Yeah, that sounds super amazing. Alex, tell me about the collaboration, right? What attracted you to this project?
I mean, I've been a fan of Duncan's film work for years. He's really, really good at taking science fiction and making it very, very grounded in character work, which I really appreciate as a writer myself. And when he was looking around for someone to work with him on turning this into a graphic novel, I was thrilled that he wanted to work with me. Yeah. For me, the great fun of this was a lot of the technical challenges. It's a huge escapist, globe-spanning story where you go from future London to Shanghai and then back underneath the ocean to Los Angeles and then all across the United States. And taking this giant story and wrestling it into something that was uniquely a graphic novel. So it started off as a screenplay, but rather than just doing a kind of a direct adaptation, we wanted to turn it into a story that could be only told in graphic novel form. So doing a lot of visual work that you could not do on film.
Yeah.
And that was one of the challenges and the fun. I like the technical challenges.
Sure, yeah. What do you both want for readers to take away from Madi's story?
Well, on the story side of it, I mean, I think Alex has got a really good sort of take on how, you know, on the nature of debt that I'll kind of leave to her. But what I would say is that you know, as a piece of art, the fact is that we got some of the greatest working comic artists all together to tell one story, and that was due to Alex's amazing ability to kind of break it down and reinterpret it as a graphic novel and segment out the story so that each artist would have something whole and complete to tell themselves.
What I want them to take away from any book I work on, which is, you know, I want them to be able to lose themselves in it for a few hours and come out with a sense of catharsis and joy, you know. And this book, it's so dazzling. As Duncan says, it really does have some of the greatest comic artists working today, drawing in it. You're not able to go to a cinema right now and watch a blockbuster. And honestly, it's really not the same on your TV at home. With Madi, you can get Madi, you can sit down with it and you can lose yourself in it and lose yourself to another world and escape the one we're currently in for a while. And that's what we want. And we think we've achieved it.
Yeah, and the art inside of it is super amazing, and I love how there are different artists doing different parts of the story, and that's so great. So besides the library, where can readers find the book?
They can go to z2comics.com. I mean, you can order it from any bookstore. So if you have a library or an independent bookstore or an independent comic store that you love, I strongly suggest you order it from them. z2comics.com/Madi, M-A-D-I. Has a couple of special editions that are at the end of print runs for Kickstarter exclusives that you can't get anywhere else. And if you order it from Z2 Comics, you can give your listeners the code MADITV, M-A-D-I-TV, and it gets them 10% off.
Nice. Well, Duncan Jones and Alex Campi of Madi, Once Upon a Time in the Future, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you, Conrad. This is a hefty book right here.
It
This
sure is.
This is actually the book. It's very big. It's very, very involved, and the art, like they said, they have several artists. Each artist did different sections. And so you can kind of look at the different sections and see what the different artists did with it. And if you look in the back, it kind of gives you sketches of
The process.
of the process that the different artists took to do, do whatever this thing is huge, to do, whatever they decided to do with it, their sort of interpretation of it. So anyway, it's a really, really interesting book. And like they said, Duncan Jones being a director, thought, this is going to be huge for the big screen. So they decided, let's do the graphic novel. And again, Duncan Jones is David Bowie's son. That is the one that Bowie used to refer to as Zoe Bowie. That's his name. And they funded this book project via Kickstarter. They decided they wanted to do the project, and they've raised over $600,000, or raised over $600,000 to make this happen. So anyway, really interesting.
So, graphic novels have become more popular. When I was a kid, I don't remember seeing them, or maybe it just wasn't in my genre that I was choosing at the time.
Right, same for me.
But my kids have been bringing some of these home, not this one in particular, but I kind of wonder, how does it translate time-wise? Like if I were reading a book that was that big, like
yeah, I don't know.
How fast do you get through it? And I don't know, there's a lot of questions I have about those, but my kids really seem to enjoy that style.
Well, you have some laying around, you should read one. Maybe I should too. And like Alex DeCampi said, you should get lost in it. So
yeah,
anyway,
absolutely.
good
It's
stuff.
beautiful
Yeah.
art too. Well, up next, our very own Beth Vanella will be joining us to talk about thunderstorms as Severe Weather Awareness Week continues. Don't go away.
Be right